Hey, welcome. We usually think that getting good with digital stuff is all about mastering the latest tools. But what if the real skill is a hidden process, something that happens way before we even click a single button? Today, we're going to dig into the secret flow of digital skills, and it's all backed by some really cool research. Let's jump in.
We all use computers, right? Every single day. So it just feels natural to think that getting good with the tools is the most important thing. But what if that's only half the story? What if the real power isn't in the tools themselves, but in a way of thinking that works behind the scenes?
Okay, so there are two main players in our story today. First, you've got computer and information literacy, which we'll just call CIL. And second, there's computational thinking, or CT. A great way to think about them is like this. CIL is your sharp, practical sword. It's the how. But CT, that's your strategy, your heart method. It's the why. See, having a sharp sword is awesome, but without the right strategy, it's just not as powerful. So CIL is all about the hands-on stuff. It's your ability to find information, figure out if it's any good, keep your files organized, and, actually share what you find with other people. These are the core skills you need just to get around in the digital world. Now, when people hear computational, their minds usually jump straight to coding and programmers. But honestly, that's a huge misunderstanding. CT is really a way of thinking that's useful for everybody. It's a framework that teaches you how to take a big, messy problem like, how do we grow our business, and break it down into smaller, clear, manageable steps you can actually act on. So we've got the how, our CIL skills, and the why, our CT skills. And it seems pretty logical to assume that we just develop these things separately, right? Like they're two parallel tracks. On one side, you learn the tools, and on the other, you get better at thinking. Makes sense, doesn't it?
Well, this is where it gets really interesting. Because it turns out the research shows us it's not that simple at all. The real relationship between our hands-on skills and our thinking skills is way more connected, and honestly, way more surprising than most of us ever imagined.
The big ideas we're exploring today come from this master's thesis right here. Now, what we're doing is just giving you a quick guide to the core finding. But the full paper really dug deep into how these two skill sets work together, and what it discovered is a total game changer.
And here it is, the big reveal. CIL and CT aren't running side by side on parallel tracks. Nope, the relationship is a one-way street. It's a sequence. One skill is literally the foundation for the other. You have to walk the first part of the path before the next part even becomes available to you.
And the best way to understand this one-way street is with a really simple but super powerful model. Input, process, output. This is the secret flow. You gather stuff, you think about it, and then you create something with it. So let's see how this actually works in the real world.
To really make this click, let's imagine we're cooking a gourmet meal. Think about any project you do, a big report, a presentation, whatever. It's like a complex dish. And this three-stage model? It's the recipe.
Okay, step one is input, and this stage is 100% dependent on your CIL, your practical skills. This is where you use your know-how to go out and find, check, and organize all the raw materials for your project. This is so perfect, right? A chef can't even begin to think about cooking until they've sourced the best possible ingredients. It is exactly the same for us. The quality of what you gather right at the start, that sets the absolute limit for how good your final result can be.
So once you have all your top-notch ingredients, you move into the process stage. This is where your computational thinking, your strategic brain, takes over. You start to analyze all that raw info, you break down the problem, and you create a plan, a recipe, for how to turn those inputs into something valuable.
This is really the creative heart of the whole thing. It's the chef in the kitchen, tasting, combining flavors, figuring out the timing, turning a pile of raw stuff into a brilliant, delicious strategy. This is where the real value starts to take shape.
And finally, we get to the output stage. After all that brilliant strategic work, you actually circle right back to your practical CIL skills. You use your mastery of software and communication tools to package and present your work, to turn that plan into a polished report, a killer presentation, or maybe a working prototype.
This is the moment of truth. It's when you finally serve the dish. It's not just about getting the work done. It's about presenting it in a way that people immediately get it. They see the value. This is how you deliver real impact.
So we've got this awesome input-process-output flow. But the research made it super clear that one part of this sequence is way more important than the others. It's the one thing that you absolutely have to get right above everything else. So which step is it? The research points to one single piece of the puzzle being the most critical. And it's probably not what you think. It's not your amazing strategic mind. And it's not your slick presentation skills. No, it's something way more fundamental. Something right at the very beginning of the flow.
Here's the key takeaway. The quality of your input determines the potential of everything that follows. Think about it. If you start with bad ingredients, unreliable, junky information, it doesn't matter how great of a chef you are or how beautiful your plate is. The final dish is still going to be flawed.
And that's the bottom line from the research. Your ability to find and judge information, well, that's the engine for all your other skills. The power of that engine is what determines just how high your thinking and creativity can really go.
Okay, let's do a quick recap. First, we busted that myth that technical skills and thinking skills are two separate things. We found out the real relationship is a one-way flow. Input using your practical CIL skills, process using your strategic CT brain, and output back to your CIL skills again. And the most important lesson, the quality of your input is the foundation for absolutely everything. So now you have the roadmap, and what the research suggests is that instead of chasing after the newest, flashiest tool, the real improvements come from focusing on the fundamentals. So think about your own workflow. Is it time to get way better at how you find and check your information? Or maybe you need to sharpen how you break down problems. Now that you see the flow, which part of it are you going to upgrade first?